Okay, sweet. Well, thank you everyone for kindly waiting as we let everyone else trickle in here this evening. As a brief introduction to our Start Your Journey webinar this evening, we are going to be going over everything UCalgary. And so this is going to be talking about some of our private supports for our Indigenous students via, cultural, personal, academic, but we're also going to be going to in-depth detail about the Indigenous admission process and how the Indigenous recruitment team here is dedicated to supporting our Indigenous students admission and walking through some of those pathway programs. As we continue on here throughout the night, it's important to know that you are more than welcome to ask questions at any time. Those are able to be put in that chat feature. We do have Mackenzie Beerbaum, one of our lovely managers, part of the national recruitment team here, in the chat supporting us this evening. So please put any questions there. Otherwise, there will be a period for questions and answers at the end of the presentation, and we are more than happy to stick around. So as a brief introduction for those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Alicia Akins. I'm the student recruitment specialist here at the University of Calgary, and I support all of our Indigenous students. I work really closely with our team members to make sure that we can get you the utmost access to the resources that you need and making sure that that process is clear. I'm very grateful to be able to do what I do, and I love it. So good to see that there's a few familiar names for some of these students that I've connected with already, and for those that are new, welcome. If you're not familiar and you're outside of the Calgary area or Alberta, it's important for you to know where the University of Calgary is located. And we do this in part by offering a land acknowledgement at the beginning of our presentations. Now, the University of Calgary is located in the heart of Southern Alberta, and we like to acknowledge and pay tribute to the traditional territories of those part of Treaty 7. This includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda. This also includes the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations, and the City of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Districts 5 and 6. So for those that aren't within the Alberta region, it's important for you to know what's going on in the province, especially if you're going to be considering moving to Alberta for your studies and to Calgary as well. If you weren't familiar, we have 6 major mountain and ski resorts. I do wish it was something that I partake in myself, but I unfortunately broke my collarbone going down the hill one year, and it wasn't something that was for me, but it might be for you. And if not, skiing and snowboarding, get out involved in those national parks. There are 5 national parks super close by, which are great for exploring. But the province itself is also comprised of Treaty 6, 7, and 8. And so we're very happy to be able to welcome numerous Indigenous students far and wide in order to study with us and get a better education here at UCalgary. When considering university and moving, that might consider province, that might consider city. And so for those of you that are within the city or maybe outside of the city here, I always like to kind of highlight a few fast facts and why you might considering looking to live in Calgary if you're going to university. One, we're the 5th most livable city in the world, but this comes down to a few different things, right? We're looking at the education system as a whole, the health system, and again, how are you looking to get involved? So whether it's networking, business opportunities, depending on the market that you're looking to go into, there's always going to be great opportunities and easier ways to navigate that. And so Calgary has a really, really great way of kind of incorporating that entrepreneurship piece into its living as well, and with the university. So that's one. And then if you're like me and you enjoy that sun, 333 days of sun a year was definitely a big factor for me in staying in Calgary. Those winter blues can be harsh, and we do know that the sun on our skin feels nice. But you also might be looking to stick around for numerous reasons that are more community-based, right? And so we have a high volunteering rate within Calgary, and so we're very proud of that. And how our students integrate that into their studies and community as well is really reflected within that student experience. For those of you that may not be familiar with UCalgary, I like to kind of, again, highlight a few things that would have been important to me as a student when considering university for the first time. And to me, that's looking at 1, how old is that university? 2, do I feel that sense of community? And is there the opportunity for success after graduation, right? So looking at being founded in 1966, we're actually not that old compared to other universities, but we do so much, whether that's being involved in research, being known as Canada's entrepreneurial university. We're always finding different ways to make sure that we can integrate that student experience specifically to what that student's looking for. And then again, sense of community. So for those who self-identify, we have roughly over 1,300 Indigenous students. And that's again looking at First Nation status, non-status, Métis or Inuit students all across Canada. But again, when considering university and that really big decision, what would have been important to me is looking at that after graduation employment rate. When we're looking at another 4 or 5 year program outside of high school, we want to be able to know that there's a job ready and lined up for us. And we play different roles in integrating this into your student experience. So whether that's through our work integrated learning department, some of our paid co-ops, practicums, internships, all those opportunities, right? Again, research is really big here at UCalgary. So are we pairing you with a professor? Are you networking? There's lots of opportunities for you to build that into your degree and ultimately lead to your success and employment after graduation. And then the last would be that 95% undergraduate retention rate. So we're seeing that a lot of our students are very happy with their time here at UCalgary. And so again, this is looking different for everyone, right? Are they happy with their academics? Are they getting involved in that community on campus and integrating themselves, right? Accessing some of those supports, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later here tonight too. For those of you who haven't been to the university, I encourage you to please come take a tour with me. I love giving tours and meeting all of you. But for some perspective, walking the campus, a full tour, if we were walking the campus, taking some time leisurely walking around, it will take us roughly about an hour, sometimes an hour 15, stopping into every section, asking questions. So for those of you who haven't been, it gives you a little bit of perspective on how big it is. But our campus has numerous supports. We build it to act like a little mini city in itself. And so this is one primarily held up within the MacEwan Student Center. And so we see our Writing Symbols Lodge here on campus. There's the access for wellness supports, mental health. There's also opportunities, to go to the pharmacy, pick up your prescription, access the eye doctor, dental care. All of that is pretty much located within that main center there. I like to say that going to university and picking a university is like buying a car. You want to test drive that car, come see the campus, come test drive it out, because ultimately this is going to be your community and your next home for the 4 to 5 years. Student experience is a really big one that plays into your time as a student. I feel like sometimes we can get down on ourselves and really focus in on those academics. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but there's so many ways to integrate yourself into that community, and it's going to reflect differently for everyone, right? Whether you're living on campus and you're part of that community, if you're looking to get involved in a club, in a sport, there's always going to be something for everyone. Trust me when I say that there are over 300 clubs, and that's going to be something that we're going to get into a little bit later as well. Clubs. So when we're looking at clubs, again, we can make this as specific as you want. There's going to be Indigenous specific clubs from this Indigenous Student Circle to the Indigenous Business Club, but these don't always have to be related, right, to community, to you. These can be personal interests. The UC Baking Club is definitely one that I would recommend checking out if you're into sweet treats. But again, if it's not something that we have, it's always important to know that there is the opportunity to build a club and get access to that through the Students' Union. And so I really encourage you to check out Clubs Week, right? Get involved, see what's out there, and start branching out early, right? Because ultimately this all leads to your success and how comfortable you feel on campus. Getting active. I mentioned that I am kind of clumsy falling down that ski hill and breaking my collarbone, right? But you may be better at sports than I am. And so how do you continue to get active on campus? This comes through our numerous opportunities to get involved in intramural sports. Maybe you're looking to go to the pools, get a few laps in. Maybe you're looking to lifting weights, taking advantage of the fitness center. There are so many opportunities to get involved, right? And these can come through free programs through the UCalgary as well. But it's always important to know that these are built into your tuition and fees, right? All of these facilities. So I really encourage you to use them because it's a really great way to let off some steam. Taking care of your body and your mind is just as important. Being home of the dinos, again, if playing a sport is something that is important to you, you want to continue that up, whether it's at the varsity or club level, I encourage you to connect with me directly. We can talk about what that recruiting process looks like. It starts pretty early. So for those of you that may be in grade 12 and considering playing at that varsity or club level, just connect with me. We can make sure that we walk through that recruitment process as easy as possible. It's going to look different per every sport. So we really just want to make sure that we're connecting. And so if that's something that's important to you, please make sure to grab my contact. Living on campus, this is something that I encourage students who are applying, outside of the Calgary and surrounding area to go for. We have that first year residence guarantee. And so if you're wanting to make sure that you have access to residence and that you're not going to be put on a wait list in your first year, right? Let's just be putting in an application before May 1st of 2025, right? It's guaranteed as long as you have an acceptance offer in conjunction with that. There's really no worry on your end. So getting ahead of that wait list is always before May 1st of 2025. There is the opportunity of double and single rooms. It is very common though in your first year that you will have a shared accommodation. And so this looks very similar to what we're seeing on screen here, a bed on both sides, a closet, desk space, and that mini fridge. There is the washrooms located out in the hall. It's important to know that the dorms and the floors are organized by wings. So for those of you that have questions about, can I live with a female roommate for sure, as long as that's continuing, and agreed on the other halves, you can live with a friend. There's also I like to consider a matchmaking service. So it's a really good questionnaire that resident service puts on. You want to be answering these quite honestly, right? We don't want to be saying that we're chill and then your roommate says that you're chill and then you guys are butting heads because I like to be up really early and this person likes to go to bed really late and we're butting heads, right? Let's be super honest about these things. Make sure that we can get you a good roommate. There's always the opportunity to connect with them, typically about a month before move-in day. But also looking at living on campus, right? As a first year student living on campus, you do have to purchase that all you care to eat meal plan, okay? So there's that 5-day or 7-day option. I typically encourage students who are outside of that Calgary and surrounding area just to move forward with that 7-day plan so that we're not worrying about which 2 days of the week we don't have access to that center. But it is included in your first year. You cannot opt out of that as there isn't a kitchen in your dorm room, but that changes as we go into our second, third, and fourth years living on residence. Student supports, we've touched on a few of, all of these as a UCalgary student and how to utilize them. I really encourage you when, coming to visit campus, talking to me, coming for a tour to see some of these spaces, ask me to visit them, connect you with someone. I'm more than happy to do that in order to make sure that you're successful as a first year student. As a student who was going directly from high school to university, first in my family to go to school, I really did struggle. And sometimes that came down to my academic writing. I wanted to chat with someone who had, the same understanding that I was going through. And so it was accessing something very similar to the Student Success Center. And so maybe getting some of that writing and academic support is something that you need. I really encourage you to be checking out those spaces, right? Or perhaps it's the Center for Career and Personal Development, right? Is it touching up a resume, helping you practice with interview experience, right? We really want students to embrace their talents with UCalgary. And so accessing these supports are one of the ways to do that. We have student wellness services from, counseling opportunities to connecting pals who visit campus, the pet therapy, love that. But again, numerous supports, it's there for you. And if you're not too sure like where to start, who to talk to, connecting with your recruiter is always the best way to start that. And one of the other ways that we kind of help our Indigenous student navigate some of those supports is starting through the Writing Symbols Lodge. So I consider this the hub for Indigenous students on campus. It is a very warm and welcoming safe space for all. But we see a lot of our Indigenous programs run out through here. So the Indigenous Student Access Program was one of those first established with UCalgary to support our Indigenous students. And that still runs outside of the Writing Symbols Lodge. But the lodge also supports, cultural, personal, and academic advising support. They run a private Indigenous graduation ceremony, Indigenous student orientation. We do take students here on our tours as well. They have a really nice smudge room for our students to decompress, know that they again have that safe space. And so I really encourage connecting with the Writing Symbols Lodge as a first year student. But as we kind of start transitioning into academics, one of the most important things as part of your studies, right, is again, how you continue to build this into your student experience and make your degree unique to you, right? So is it embedding a certificate into your degree? Is it getting involved in UCalgary Cares? Is it taking advantage of some of those maker spaces, right? Again, being part of research. There's lots of opportunities for you to kind of find your niche. Being Canada's entrepreneurial university, there is so much opportunity. And again, when we think entrepreneurial, sometimes students can think, oh, business related, right? But we're thinking on like a larger scale. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a business major to be involved in entrepreneurial work, right? We really want to encourage our students to go above and beyond because they have access to those facilities. Probably the one thing that everyone wants to hear me talk about most is our faculties that are available here at UCalgary. So when we're looking to apply, there are 9 that you can enter into directly outside of high school, 2 that you need previous post-secondary study for. Those 2 that are restricted at the moment are going to be that Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and the Faculty of Social Work. We need previous 2 years post-secondary study, but the rest can be completely entered into outside of high school. And we'll be talking about some of these faculties that also support a separate bridging program here as well at UCalgary. As we kind of start jumping into the faculties, there are so many for me to talk to, and I definitely can't get through every single major program. So we are going to be going into these in a quicker kind of jaunt, but we're going to be talking about some of these faculties as a whole. If there are any questions, again, connect with me. We are more than happy to walk you through what some of these major programs look like, go into their degree guides, right? Their course guides, sorry, can we walk you through what those careers can lead to? We're more than happy to do that there with you, okay? As we start, the School of Architecture, Planning and Landscape, the Bachelor of Design and City Innovation is fairly new to UCalgary, so we're really proud to have that and be offering it to our students. Really great opportunity to kind of start getting involved in that sector. If architecture, planning and landscape is something that's interesting to you, really great way to kind of take that degree and make it multidisciplinary in nature. Last on this page too, last we have the Faculty of Arts taking up the rest of this page. Very large faculty, one of the largest here with UCalgary. We see numerous bachelors coming through this. So whether it's the Bachelor of Arts, Communication and Media Studies, Film Studies, Fine Arts, Music, or Science, there's lots of opportunities to be playing around with something that you're interested in studying, right? And maybe we're figuring it out. Maybe we're jumping between major programs, or we haven't decided and we're playing around with different classes in each of these kind of discipline areas. There's lots of opportunity for you to be exploring what it is you're interested in. And one of the nice things too about this page is that these 2 faculties support one of our Indigenous bridging programs here at UCalgary. So these faculties can look to supporting our Indigenous students through alternate admission. Typically, we're looking at bridging programs specifically about 3 courses using that evaluation in conjunction with a supplementary statement. We'll be talking about this a little bit more later. Continuing on, the Workland School of Education, our Haskins School of Business, and the Schulich School of Engineering, there are some really great work being done within the Workland School of Education, specifically Indigenous education as well, and making sure that our Indigenous students feel welcomed, and again, integrating that into the classroom and into that learning. There is the opportunity for doing elementary, secondary, or that K-12 stream, depending on what it is that we're looking to do, right? We're going to see those check marks line up in certain sections and boxes of that table. And so depending on whether or not you're looking for a 4 or 5-year degree program, again, feel free to connect with me. We can talk about the larger differences between perhaps a 4 or 5-year and what it is you're looking to do. We can kind of navigate that here for you. But it's always important to know that once we get into the faculty, those faculty advisors, those are the experts and they can help you navigate that field. But the main thing to remember between that 4 and 5-year difference is that 4-year, we're graduating with a Bachelor of Education, and that 5-year, a Bachelor of Education and our specific discipline as well. Looking at the Haskins School of Business, there is so much opportunity here. We consider ours a Bachelor of Commerce, not necessarily a Bachelor of Business. So when we're looking at that language, what does that mean, right? There's lots of opportunities to, again, be integrating these into different sections of our degree, playing off one another. The Haskins School of Business does a really great job at making sure that their students are well-rounded, and this plays again into the opportunities that they offer through that faculty. When we're looking at engineering, one of the most common questions that I get is, what do I need to get into electrical engineering or oil and gas engineering or, software engineering? I like to say, like, slow your roll a little bit. We do have to apply into that common first year, which is going to be those 10 required courses of you as a first-year engineering student. And then we get to be picking our specialization here later into that second year of that program. So when we're looking at those requirements, we're always looking at engineering common first year. And good to know that the Schulich School of Engineering also supports a bridging program for our Indigenous students as well. So looking towards separate admission. Kind of wrapping up on some of that academic and faculty side, we're looking at the Faculty of Science. Again, a lot going on within the Bachelor of Science, and a recent change here through that Indigenous admission process is some of those that were considered honors programs, which were restricted through that Pathways program. It's nice to know that a lot of that has been lifted, and almost every single one of these programs are eligible to be supported under that faculty bridging program. Again, really great opportunities for our students to start in kind of a transition period and get involved and kind of seamlessly transition into that, I guess, year one, year and a half, 2 year of that program and moving through. Again, Faculty of Kinesiology, we start to again see some similarities, right? We see that a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Kines is offered, and kinesiology is listed in both, right? What does that mean difference? Which do I apply to? Again, let's be connecting with our team over here. We're more than happy to make sure that those differences are clear. And so sometimes that comes down to the amount of classes that are going to be built into your degree guide, which ones are fitting in specific sections. Ultimately, what are you looking to do after graduation, and how this plays into your career? We're more than happy to make sure that we can navigate some of those questions. The Faculty of Nursing, if for those of you who aren't familiar, we have the Human Simulation Lab as part of UCalgary's campus, and so that gets used by our Faculty of Nursing students. Pretty cool, but also pretty creepy. They have some mannequins who can push out a baby, who can talk to you, have a seizure. Some really lifelike, I like to say, like miniature premature babies up to, like being born full 9 months. Lots of opportunity for our students to get that safe hands-on experience in that classroom. Again, building that into that work integrated learning department, right? That practicum, that intern experience, and internships, all of those can be built into our degrees here at UCalgary. When we're looking at the Cummings School of Medicine, our Bachelor of Health Sciences, those are honors only programs, and these have that supplementary statement as well as part of the application. So our students are going to want to be looking at submitting an essay there, and that opens up after the time of applying. Some of those other courses that did require previous education study, again, social work is thrown in there, law, energy engineering, education for those who have a degree and are looking to go into being a teacher later, and veterinary medicine as well. One thing that's really important to note for our students who are interested in veterinary medicine is that they do have to be an Alberta resident, but typically taking an undergrad here at UCalgary does automatically kind of waive that as you would become a resident of living here after 12 months. But how can you take the opportunity to customize your degree and again, continue to make it unique to you? We want to be looking at, adding minors into our programs. Can we embed a certificate into our degree? Can we take a combined degree option? There is lots of opportunity for, again, you to make that degree completely unique to you. If you're looking to see which of our degrees can be combined, what minors can I add into my program, right? We don't necessarily have all of these minors listed in our view book, as it's something that you typically choose in your second or sometimes third year of your program, but your faculty advisors really do make that a simple process. Easy as booking a meeting with them and declaring that on your degree. Study abroad is definitely something that I wish that I took advantage of as a student. I was kind of caught in between some of those COVID years. So unfortunately, it was postponed when I was a student. And yeah, I would really encourage all of you to definitely get out there and see the world. Lots of opportunities that go on through here. But we've seen that this is more common throughout universities here. But one of the nice things too is at least we try to have at least 50% of our students take a study abroad term. And we're able to have our students do this because we keep it at the cost of what it is in Calgary. So you pay UCalgary tuition and fees while you study abroad. So really great opportunities. You're not paying some of those high international fees, whether you're 3 months away in Spain or you're part of the Year at Sea program for Haskayne School of Business. Good to know that there's tons of ways to integrate it into your studies, no matter what faculty you're part of. But for those of you that may be a little bit homebodied, and again, you're looking to gain some of that valuable work experience, the Work Integrated Learning Department really does a good job of this. And so when we're looking at how can I integrate this into my studies, it is going to be different depending on the faculty that we're part of, okay? When we're looking at co-ops and internships, we're seeing that these are typically between our arts, our commerce, our engineering, our science, and our science students, sorry. And so again, the length of these programs can be anywhere from 4 to 16 months, depending on what that student is looking for. When we're looking at practicums, this is typically education, nursing, kinesiology, social work. again, we want to get you out in that field, get you that hands-on experience so that you do feel confident walking into that classroom or that hospital setting or wherever it may be, so that you do feel well prepared. As we kind of transition into some of these admission information pieces, right? What do I need as a student in order to apply to UCalgary? It's good to know that we typically need to be seeing those 5 classes from you, but what these 5 are going to be changing, and they're not the same per major program or faculties, right? And so I know that in order to get into a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations, I need English at the grade 12 level, 3 approved 3 approved courses and a 5th approved option course, or approved option or course with Alberta or BC or wherever you're applying, right? And so again, how can we integrate these and change them, right? Am I using an English, a science, a math, a social, Aboriginal studies 30, right? Art, dance, drama, a language. There's so many opportunities, but for certain ones, we're going to see a few more, I guess, restrictions come into play, right? For a Bachelor of Science in Engineering for that common first year, I need English, I need pre-calculus, I need chemistry, physics, bio, right? We want to start looking at these classes that we need to be hitting and building out our schedules appropriately depending on what it is we want. As we kind of start looking to applying to university, it's important to know that you are eligible to apply for 2 programs, right? So let's make sure that we're picking a first and a second choice program. I like to use engineering here as an example. If I was looking to go into engineering common first year and I was picking a second choice, perhaps I'm picking something in a science that I would still be happy studying with. It has a lower admission competitive average. I have some more flexibility with those courses required of me. And sometimes we do see our students receiving offers to their second choices first. This doesn't mean that we ever stop evaluating you for your first choice, but again, we want this second choice still to be something that we would be happy studying, but kind of as that safety net program on the chance that we can't get into our first competitive. So always pick a second choice. If you're not too sure what to be applying for as that second choice, again, let's connect. Let's make sure that we can make sure that you have a guided second choice and that your application is all good to go. One of the parts of this webinar that I'm sure you are all happy with is that this is giving you the opportunity to have that application fee waived. And so when we're looking at the Apply Alberta system, going through that application, it's typically $125. And so for our students who are looking to have that waived, all we want to be saying is, apply within a week of this event. And when we get to that final stage of the application, there is going to be a section that says, I have I have an attended event that will be waiving this fee. And so we'll want to be clicking that third specific bubble in order to have you marked and your UCID written down. But one of the nice parts about having you attend tonight is that all of that will be tracked through our system here. And so if there's any questions, we've already applied, let's connect and we can make sure that that application fee here tonight is waived. Documents is another thing that we get common questions on, right? And so when do you need documents from me? What am I submitting? Where can I do this? And so again, the Apply Alberta system really makes this simple for you as a high school student, transfer student, lots of opportunities to making sure that we have those documents on hand. But one of the nice things is that we make sure that you have these deadlines laid out in your student center, right? So if you're a high school student, that transcript is getting sent over to us. If you're a post-secondary transfer student, we want to be arranging those transcripts to be sent over, right? Really easy to be able to get that handed to us. But we would just really want you to be finishing your classes by June 30th, 2025, because we are going to be needing those official transcripts by August 1st of 2025. As we kind of start working into some of those pathways to university, we will be spending a little bit more time and going into depth here about what that looks like. And so as an Indigenous student applying to UCalgary, we will only put you through the Indigenous admission process if it's needed, right? So everyone is starting under general admission. So we're looking at those 5 required courses and that competitive average. And that first support is looking to support students who are below that competitive admission average and being considered at an alternate admission average, right? And so roughly that's anywhere within 8%. This does depend given that program, but there's a little bit of a buffer zone for our students who do have those courses, but maybe below that competitive average. So that's one of our first supports. Second, for some of our students who may not be having an average that's within that buffer zone, they may be missing a class or 2. We do encourage them to move forward through that Indigenous admission supplementary process. And so So this is a blank page left completely open to you. This gives you the opportunity to represent yourself to the faculty however you see fit. And so whether this is talking about education goals, career goals, relevant work or volunteer experience, or you're looking to shed some light on who you are as a person, have you faced any barriers, right? Um, a complete open opportunity for, again, for you to represent yourself to the faculty however you see fit. And they can admit you via directly into your program given a supplementary process, or they can move forward through that bridging program. And so we see faculties that are supporting that bridging program support this admission. And so this is the Faculty of Science, Haskins School of Business, Schulich School of Engineering, School of Architecture, Planning and Landscape, and the Faculty of Arts that have that separate bridging program for admission. And so for our students who are missing courses, they can be reviewed typically by 3 courses here at the grade 11 or 12 level, depending on what that student has. We will always be using the grade 12 course if they do have it. But again, moving through that faculty submission and moving through that bridging program. One of the common questions that I get is, is the bridging program all high school classes? I need to be in a university level class in order to receive funding. And so it's good to know that the bridging program allows you to be eligible for funding because again, these are university foundational courses that are kind of helping you supplement some of those classes that you may have been missing in high school. It's a really great transition program as long as you finish that and pass successfully. You will be going directly on into your degree program afterwards with no restrictions to that bridging program. And again, how you are looking to submit that statement via that bridging program is left completely up to you. So whether it's oral, written, video, etc., whatever you're comfortable with, again, completely, we want to make sure that you're happy with your submission. And so whatever form that comes to for you, please connect with us if you're having trouble submitting a statement or you're moving forward. Just let me know. We can make sure that we can get that uploaded here for you. The Indigenous Student Access Program is similar to the Bridging Program in a few ways, right? So it is a one-year program, so it shares similarities that way, but it's a very more of a holistic program, right? So there is a lot of biweekly check-ins and meetings with the coordinator, making sure that you are coming to some of those weekly workshops. There's lots of opportunity for cultural, personal, and academic support. There's going to be access to tutorials as well. When we're looking at admission into the bridging program, into the ISAP program, all we're going to be needing here is English 30-1 at a 65% or higher. For our students who don't necessarily meet this requirement at the moment, we do move forward with what we consider a supplementary statement. I do see a hand raised. Kimberly, if you're more than happy to unmute yourself or put your question into the chat and we'll make sure to answer. If I was accepted into any of these bridging programs or the Indigenous Student Access Program as a whole, we do want to be moving forward with Indigenous citizenship or membership submission. And so whether you're First Nation status or non-status, Métis or Inuit student, this documentation is going to look different. And so if you have any questions about submitting documentation or don't necessarily feel like you fit into any of those set policies laid out by the university, again, let's be getting in contact with me. It's not necessarily end of the road. We do have opportunities for students who are looking to submit their citizenship or membership to the Indigenous pilot committee that we have here on campus in order to continue to break down some of those barriers. Conditional offers. So this is one thing that I like to touch on early in that application process being open, right? And so we get a lot of questions about like, I have an early conditional offer. I don't necessarily know what that means. And so we can see students get an early and conditional offer to UCalgary as early as end of November, sometimes a little bit earlier, depending on, again, what it is if they have the necessary grade 11 courses to support a conditional and early offer, if they have any grade 12 done as well. But the most important thing to know is you just need to be maintaining their averages. We want to see students finish all their required courses, and we want to be getting some of those final grades. So if you're getting an early offer to UCalgary, really great. We're so proud of you. We just want to be making sure that we maintain and keep up with those admission requirements, okay? Tuition and fees, this isn't something that we shy away from. We want to make sure the students have a clear understanding of some of those numbers that are going to be required of them. And so when we're looking at domestic tuition, right, we can see that this varies depending on whether you're a part-time student, full-time student, or what faculty you are part of, right? So this can be anywhere from $7,000 to $9,000. When we're looking at our general fees, books and supplies, anywhere from 1,900 to 2,400. And that residence and meal plan expense, we see a really big jump here, $8,000 to $16,000 just under. Again, because as a first year student, you do have to be purchasing that all you care to eat meal plan, but there is the opportunity to be dropping that in your second and third year if you are looking to cook in your own dorm. Again, still opportunities to use the spaces in the dining center if you're looking to add swipes onto your student card or take advantage of that space. Awards are something that I really encourage all of our students to apply into. So we have automatic awards available with UCalgary, which we consider students for. There's high school entrance awards. These are really simple, check yes or no. They really take only like 10 to 15 minutes of your time. But the prestige awards are something that I encourage all of the students to put their time and dedication into because that application closes early, right? It's only open 2 months. But these are because these are those high value dollar awards, right? Some of these are renewable per year. So if you're receiving a prestige award up to $25,000 per year over the course of 4 years, that's like close to or just over $100,000 in funding, depending on that award that you receive, right? So again, totally worth the time. If you're applying to multiple universities, these can feel time consuming, but again, I really encourage you to do it because ultimately going to university can be quite expensive. And so I always tell students the last thing that we want to be doing is resorting to government student loans. We can help you navigate some of those awards internally with UCalgary, but also give you some insight into some of those external opportunities as well. We're more than happy to share what's available to our Indigenous students, okay? When we're looking at numbers and statistics, 25% of our Indigenous students who applied to UCalgary internally through those awards ended up receiving a scholarship, bursary, or award from us. And in total, when we're looking at that overall dollar value amount, it was just over $1.9 million paid to our Indigenous students through UCalgary last year. Important dates. This is kind of wrapping up everything that we've talked about here tonight. Again, what do I need to know? What do I really want you to be taking away from this presentation? Applications are open. Please apply. Hence the point of attending this webinar tonight and getting that application fee waived. That application will be closing March 1st. Again, students always ask me, is it of my advantage to be applying early? And I will tell you yes, through and through every single time. Make sure that you're applying early. It gives you the opportunity to get that early conditional offer. We're going to continue to reevaluate you. There is lots of opportunities for you as a student who are applying early. So please apply early. The application to residence does open January 1st. Keeping in mind May 1st will always also stay that date for that application to close if you're looking for that first year residence guarantee. Again, let's be finishing our classes by June 30th because we want to be seeing in that official transcript come in by August 1st to the 30th so that we can continue to finalize your offer and make sure that everything is good. Other events. So on fingers crossed, we end up getting an early and conditional offer and we've accepted our offer. We always run webinars too that follow these. And so these are going to be the accepted to UCalgary webinars where we kind of walk through some of those next steps, registration dates, continuing contacts, what do I need to do? And so we make sure that, again, we are here with you every single step of the way before September 1 and we start some of those classes. Again, I mentioned at the beginning when I was on the campus map, I like to say that going to university is like picking a car. You want to test drive that car, come test drive that campus, right? So come see us, come check this out. Saturday, October 26th is your opportunity to do that. Come chat with the faculty, come meet me. We are more than happy. We're going to be facilitating tours. There's going to be specific sessions as well. We are more than happy to get connected with you. So do sign up for that event. There's going to be lots of great opportunities for our students to come visit us. Overall, again, what are some of those supports, right? So we have webinars like this tonight, the accepted webinars, but also maybe we need a little bit more guidance. That application process can feel quite heavy, and so we're more than happy to do application walkthroughs with you, right? As the Indigenous team here, we are always constantly providing updates and any changes to your file that may be needed. If you need to go through that Indigenous admission process, do I think that you may benefit from submitting a supplementary statement? We will be connecting with you if that ever does come through through on your application. Otherwise, again, we help you get connected with the Writing for Moose Lodge on campus so that there is that seamless transition from that support from our team to theirs. And we're more than happy to continue to facilitate that. We are going to leave the rest of this time here. There's, I like to say, about 15 minutes left of that 7 o'clock end time. So if you are comfortable, please unmute yourself, put any questions in the chat if they haven't been answered already. Otherwise, we are very thankful for all of you attending tonight. If there's any follow-up questions, please connect with us. Our contact here is indigenous.recruiter@ucalgary.ca, or you can always book in a meeting with me or give us a call as well.
So I just had a question. Like, what are your best tips for like the most like concrete shot at admission?
Yeah, okay, really great question. So I think first is, already doing what you're doing and connecting with us here and getting that information at hand, right? But it's also doing some of that follow-up work. So when I say applying early is really to your benefit, it is, right? We want to start with that early evaluation. Can we support an early offer, that conditional offer? And so sometimes these students are like, do my grade 11 courses matter? And so this is when we're looking at early admission in those 4 courses. And again, there is opportunity for you to be supported through that Indigenous admission process early. And so we see our students who are applying a little bit later, that they're needing to submit a statement now. We've gone through evaluations. It's near the end of June. Students are busy. There's graduation. There's so much more of life going on. And so sometimes as these continue on throughout the year, we don't want anything to get caught up with our faculties, with our admissions department. So it's always in everyone's best interest to be applying early, but continuing to connect with me, right? And so is it making sure that I have the requirements for my first and my second choice? Do I have options, right? Making sure that we can, like you said, what is my best shot at applying and then getting that offer? Is starting early and making sure that we have that private connection like we're doing here tonight to make sure that you're on track.
Oh, okay, thank you. That was so helpful. If you say you didn't have the requirements by the time of admission, say I admitted tomorrow and didn't have that, my grades are looking better by March or May, would that be like a problem or would that help? Like, I'm a little confused about that.
That's totally fine. I can make sure that that's clear. So let's say you apply tomorrow, you're a grade 12 student. We may not have any grade 12 done. Maybe we have one course done, right? But we know that we can't look to what we consider a final admission, right? Because we don't have those 5 grade 12 courses. And so let's say you finish your first semester of grade 12. It's January now. We recognize that you have some grade 12 classes done. And so what we're doing is we're pulling over your file again and we're taking a look and we're blending some of those grade 12 and 11 courses together in order to start calculating that average, right? And so in the new year, when we start pulling marks again, can we support you with an opportunity now at UCalgary to receive an early and conditional offer? But it's not uncommon for some of our students to be receiving offers to programs after they finish their classes. And sometimes that does come through the Indigenous admission process as well. But even if you don't have the marks now, right, it's okay. Apply early, grade 12. It's good to make sure that you have the classes and we can always work towards some of those grades. If they are fluctuating, right, there is a little bit of give and take. If, you were I don't know, I was really good at English in grade 12, but my math wasn't so great. But at the end of the day, they kind of balanced each other out. And so it's always important to know that depending on the classes you need, there's always some room for flexibility. But as the recruitment and admissions department here at UCalgary, we're going to be doing that calculation here for you. So it's not something that you need to be worrying about. And as long as you have the correct admission requirements, we're always going to be trying to get you that highest GPA in order to support admission. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Thank you so much. I had another question.
That's
Um,
okay. Yeah.
do you know of ways that you can try to find a class that you don't have or like get your grades up that you don't have for a specific requirement before coming to UCalgary? I know that isn't a UCalgary specific question, but I figured you might know.
Yeah. So if you were considering upgrading, right? Lots of opportunities to talk about upgrading facilities. That's probably something I'd encourage you to send me an email about. But like you said, we're well connected. We definitely know resources. We know schools, whether you're looking to do something online or you're looking to return in-person upgrading. But some of those nice pieces, right, about upgrading is that's what those bridging programs are for, right? They are looking to support you under separate admission. And it's okay if we're not necessarily meeting those admission requirements because they are looking at three specifically, right? And so they do support students under those foundational courses and it gives you direct acceptance also. I think what might be best for you here is to connect with me. We can walk through some of those classes that you do have and walk through whether or not, you know, a bridging program right now for you would be the best choice. Or if you are looking to upgrade outside of high school too, that can always be something that we can discuss.
My gosh, thank you so much. That was so helpful.
You're welcome. Okay, so I see a couple of questions coming in through the question answer portion here. Does the Bachelor of Health Science Honors Program do the Indigenous supplementary process at all? On the site, it says that there is no bridging program, but for other information about the supplementary process for Indigenous students. Yeah, so the Bachelor of Health Sciences integrates that supplementary application in through their own supports as well. And so that's why we don't necessarily see a bridging program available through that health sciences program because it's built into that supplementary application on its own, which acts very similar to social work and them having a supplementary application and Indigenous students reviewed through that as well. Mason, if you were looking to go into the Bachelor of Health Science honors programs, I encourage you to connect with me. We can again walk through admission requirements, what that looks like for some of our Indigenous students. If there's any sort of worry, we can make sure that it's as clear as possible and that you're supported throughout this process. Yeah, so sorry, the question about specific spots and faculties, this one is a little bit harder to answer. And so again, this depends on exactly what it is we're looking to do and where we're looking to go. But when we're looking at specific number of seats, essentially the application is, okay, nursing. It's important to know that the application and the spots are left completely open. So for domestic students, Canadian students, Indigenous students, international students, but that as an Indigenous applicant, there again is opportunity for you to be supported in one of those spots and essentially get those butts in those seats early through this Indigenous admission process and applying early.
I think the only piece that I would add is we often find that faculties will close their programs because they're full for domestic students or international students, and most of the faculties will leave kind of their Indigenous admissions open longer in the case that students begin to meet those requirements later. So we don't dedicate specific seats, but it's kind of like on a case-by-case basis. If we see a student meet the requirements later, but we're otherwise full, the faculty often makes exceptions to let those students in.
Yeah, okay, so really good question. I'm just going to go back to that section of the presentation here, just through that admissions process. And so when we're looking at that buffer or that opportunity to get admitted via that Indigenous admission process, it's typically going to be within anywhere from 8 to 10% of that faculty. So it necessarily isn't always guaranteed to fall within that number, but that's that genuine, I guess you could say, buffer for some of our Indigenous students, but being below that competitive average. But the student does need to be meeting those courses. So they need to have those 5 required courses. So we're seeing them admitted at an alternate average, but meeting those 5. For those that don't, we're moving through that supplementary process or possibly some of those bridging programs. Really good question, Mason. If you've already submitted an application to the university, I would just encourage you to connect with me. If you do have access to that UCID number, so that's going to be an 8-digit number, I would recommend that you put that in the chat here. We can always keep log of that, but getting you registered and attending this event, we should easily have access to that information. What we would be doing from here is looking to process a refund. So depending on how you applied, this can vary in time, but just make sure that you are on our list, and we're more than happy to make sure that you do get reimbursed for that fee after attending this event tonight. Okay, sweet. Well, if there are any other questions or you're looking to connect with us in the Indigenous recruitment team here, again, we're more than happy to make sure that you have access to the supports that you need. So please do send us an email, book in a meeting with us. We're more than happy to connect with you. Otherwise, I will let you all go for the evening. Thank you so much for attending and sticking around, and we're more than happy to answer your questions via email or over the phone later here. Otherwise, have a good rest of your night, everyone, and thank you so much.